Hello learners, I am Dr. Munish Kumar Bharadwaj from School of Engineering and Technology. As you know, we were discussing about the defects in different materials. Materials means here the construction materials and the buildings. And in our previous lecture, we discussed about the defects in general, what are defects, then defects in timber. Now in continuation, we are going to discuss here in this lecture defects in concrete and reinforcing steel, how these defects occur, what are the preventive and remedial measures in these two materials, that we will discuss in this lecture. So now I begin with concrete. Though concrete and steel have separate deterioration mechanisms, the deterioration of one affects the other. You know this thing. Means if deterioration in reinforcement is there, then ultimately it will lead to the deterioration in concrete. If deterioration in concrete is there, then it will finally lead to the deterioration in reinforcement. So the deterioration of steel due to corrosion triggers deterioration in the surrounding concrete. The construction practices and details like cover of concrete, curing, etc. are well established means to tackle the problem concerning corrosion. Now, what are the defects in cement concrete? Defects in concrete may be due to material used, due to actual construction, due to overloading, and due to environmental reasons like heat, wind, water, and aggressive chemical around the building. It is not only supervision during concrete mixing that is important, but also the quality of the material used for preparation of the concrete. If proper mixing is not done or inadequate compaction is there, then it will result into the honeycombing. And in honeycombing means there are voids in the concrete. And voids are in concrete means it is a weak concrete. It will create many problems. Voids in concrete are caused mainly due to wrong blending of stone and sand, which has less fine particles. Means fine particles are less, then voids will be there in the concrete, because the voids of the coarser particles are not filled if fine particles are missing. This causes lack of cohesion in the freshly made concrete, and therefore it segregates during mixing, transporting and placing, and finally result in honeycombed concrete. That is the reason for honeycombed concrete. Design factors like reinforcement size and spacing, cover for reinforcement also determine the quality of defects-free concrete. Now let's see what is honeycomb concrete. An usual cause of honeycomb concrete is the tendency for the workers not to use vibrators to fully compact the concrete. Besides causing loss of strength in concrete and leakage in roofs, bathrooms and tanks, voids permit the entry of moisture, which eventually corrodes reinforcing steel bars, and the resulting rust further splits the concrete. Because on corrosion, volume of reinforcement increases to 6 times to its original volume, and due to this expansion, concrete splits. Use of more than the required water to make it easy for placing weakens the concrete, because it is the nature of the workers that for ease in placing they mix more water, but finally it results into the weak concrete. Excessive fine sands lead to general weakness in concrete on account of the high water cement ratio which their use entails. A coarse sand gives a stronger concrete than fine sand, as the former permits cement to fill in the interstices between the sand particles and thus bind them together. In order that the cement may exercise the maximum binding action, sand should be coarse enough for cement and water to get through its pores and surround each particle of the sand. On the other hand, absence of sufficient fine sand below 300 micron mesh sieves tends to give harsh working mixes, which is prone to segregation. So here, these are the problems. So you have to be very careful. Now, other factors include cracks. Now, one of the chief causes of cracks in concrete is the cooling and contraction, which follows the evolution of heat due to hydration of cement during setting of concrete. You know that on hydration is an exothermic process, so heat evolves on hydration of cement. Volume change and stresses due to shrinkage are independent of any external load or stress applied. Means even if some external load is not there, then the volume change and stresses due to shrinkage will be there. Minute cracks on the tension side of a reinforced concrete member are unavoidable due to the poor tensile strength of concrete as compared to steel, and which must crack when the steel reinforcement takes its load. Now, internal stresses. In numerous cases, it could be seen that the cracks occurred already during the first few days after placing the concrete, before any load act on the concrete structure. These are caused by internal stresses. Means these cracks are caused by internal stresses. Means what are these stresses? Caused by the self-equilibrating stresses due to differential temperature which are higher than the slowly developing tensile strength of concrete. So these internal stresses also causes cracks. The temperature must mainly be traced to the heat of hydration which the cement produces during the hardening process. However, quite often white cracks show up due to those effects even when much reinforcement was placed, because the young concrete does not give sufficient bond strength for making reinforcing bars effective to limit the crack width. Because until a proper bond is not there, then the reinforcement cannot take up the stresses, the tensile stresses, and it cannot just break the path of the crack. It is necessary to prevent such early cracks by keeping the rise in temperature so low that the resulting stresses remain smaller than the tensile strength. So this is one of the ways. This can be achieved by the following measures, single or in combination. So these measures can be taken independently or in combination of two or more. So first measure is choice of cement with low initial heat of hydration. Means if you are using the low cement with low heat of initial heat of hydration, then you can reduce the cracks to a certain extent. The quantity of cement per cubic meter of concrete should be kept as low as possible by proper design of the mix. Means more cement may cause more cracks because more heat will be involved in that case. The heat developed can be slowed down by adding fly ash or using slag cement as part replacement of ordinary Portland cement. Shrinkage can cause early cracks in young concrete if the measures against evaporation are not applied. Here cracks are partly due to the unequal shrinkage of the surface concrete and the mass behind it. Delayed finishing and final floating of concrete up to a certain limit avoids surface cracks. Surface cracks are also caused by surface dressing with a mortar too rich in cement, too much water, and insufficient curing, or from over troweling. These may be the reasons for surface cracks. Such hair cracks do not affect the strength of concrete. One method of avoiding such hair cracks is to remove the surface skin of the concrete by brushing it with a stiff brush soon after setting. Fine superficial cracking is known as crazing. Contraction of concrete is more harmful than expansion as it sets up tensile stresses in structure, particularly those with a large surface area, and thus form cracks. Such contraction cracks may be prevented by inserting reinforcement near the surface. Closely spaced reinforcement of a small diameter and near the surface is more effective than large diameter bars farther apart and farther from the surface. Contraction or shrinkage of concrete in hot dry areas is much greater than that in damp and cool climates. Now, what repair work we can do? Repair work in concrete is difficult as the fresh concrete does not easily stick to the old set concrete. Means it is very difficult to make bond between the old concrete surface and the new concrete work. The most effective way of repairing is by graniting, where cement and sand are mixed and shot onto the surface of repair by compressed air. Special equipments are available for this purpose. Cementation is injecting cement grout into cracks under pressure. Holes are drilled at selected points and cement grout, which is sufficiently fluid to ensure complete penetration, is pumped in. The strength of reinforced member is in general little affected by the presence of fine cracks. Such cracks can be closed by stopping and painting with cement paints. Surfaces of porous concrete or concrete of poor quality produce harmful dust due to abrasion action. Treatment with sodium silicate, that is water glass, hardens the surface by fanning a glassy substance and measures wear resistance properties. Now let us see alkali-silica reaction and chemical effects on concrete. Alkali-silica reaction is a chemical reaction in which alkalis, namely from the cement, combine with certain type of silica in the aggregate when moisture is present. The reaction produces a gel which can absorb water and then expand. The resulting internal micro cracking causes expansion of concrete. Internal regions expand more than the external regions, so that the external regions are put into tension and cause macro cracks. Although the cracking may appear severe, it is generally not structurally significant because the cracks penetrate the concrete only to a limited depth. Furthermore, exhaustive laboratory and field testing have shown that structural performance in terms of strength and service load behavior is not significantly impaired by ASR cracking. Now let us see relationship between ASR and corrosion of reinforcing steel. It is not intuitively obvious whether or not cracking due to ASR increases the risk of reinforcement steel corrosion, because a number of opposing factors are operative there. What are these factors? First, a relative high pH is needed for ASR to occur, but a high pH environment provides greater protection against corrosion that we have seen earlier. Number 2, cracked concrete usually carbonates quickly, but expansion due to ASR is mainly associated with high moisture levels, and this will tend to reduce the rate of carbonation. However, if carbonation reaches the steel, the moisture will tend to increase the rate of corrosion in that case. The cracks may be filled with an alkali silica gel that will impede the penetration of salt water and carbon dioxide. Next is, salt water will probably pass into cracked concrete more easily than sound concrete, although at the surface there may be a critical crack width below which there is little enhanced penetration. Chemical attack of concrete initially shows change in color and reduction in strength. Finally, the concrete crumbles to powder, leading to collapse of structure. This may be the effect, you see, very dangerous. The ability of surface layer of a concrete structure to repel harmful agents in the environment is considered to be the most important, as the location of reinforcement is near the cover layer, usually where the concrete is of lower quality than hard clay. The strongest concrete in the zone of uniform, higher quality concrete within the structure. The outer layer of poor concrete may be considerably more permeable than the core portion, and if concrete lacks sufficient resistance to penetration of gases and water-borne salts, sealants and water repellents may be used in an attempt to enhance the surface protection. So that way you can use sealants and the water repellent agents so that you can protect the surface. Now, members of concrete structures may be impregnated in order to protect new structures against chloride attack and to protect existing structures where corrosion is not yet occurring from further attack. So that may be done. The impregnation involves spraying concrete surfaces with a hydrophobic material that penetrates the surface and reacts with the silicates and moisture present to produce a water repellent and vapor permeable layer that inhibits the ingress of water and chlorination. Now, how we can monitor the defects and what is the importance? For the purpose of monitoring in respect of defects, optical fiber sensors are being developed, and now they are being used also. Monitoring is gaining an importance as the cost of maintenance and repairs increases dramatically due to deterioration from increased weights, air pollution, acid rains, etc. The crack detection sensor, the crack width sensor, the chemical sensor are a few that are being developed, and also some are being in use. Non-destructive testing methods, while useful for determining physical properties of members, these are usually used in inspection to establish physical condition and extent of deterioration of structural member and systems. Now let us see the test methods that are presently available and are applicable to cement concrete and some form of steels. Non-destructive methods for determining physical conditions of concrete are absorption and permeability test. This determines the surface absorption and permeability, but it finds its limited application. Acoustic emission. It is used for monitoring structure during life, but it is expensive. Complex equipments are used. Detects location of high stress concentration. Then acoustic impact, it detects debonds, delaminating voids and hairline cracks. Geometry and mass of a specimen influences the result of this test. Then electrical resistance, it determines moisture content, but equipments are little expensive. Then we can use fiber optics, and with the help of this we can view the inaccessible portions of a structure. Means where you cannot reach, where other tests cannot be done, there you can prefer this fiber optics. Here also equipments are expensive. Then another test is through infrared thermography. Using this test you can detect internal flaws, but here you require special skill and special equipments. Then another way is laser interferometry. This is used to determine crack initiation and crack propagation. This method is also expensive. Then another test is nuclear moisture meter. This can be used to estimate moisture content. Then another test is radar detection of substratum voids. This equipment is also expensive. Then another method is ultrasonic pulse velocity. This estimates the compressive strength of the member. Coupling between transducer and test substrate critical, because if proper coupling is not there, you will not get the required results. It is useful for detecting cracks and voids, and it is widely used for finding that defects, cracks, voids, and for estimation of compressive strength of concrete. Then visual examination can be done to evaluate condition of the concrete surface, and for that purpose you need trained evaluator, basically who have good experience and who can tell the status of concrete by simply visual inspection. Then break-off method, estimate flexural strength, is limited by maximum aggregate size. Nuclear gamma radiation, it determines in-place density, but results can be affected by reinforcing steel. Another one is neutron probe. You can determine with the help of this test the chloride content and an assumption on the chloride needed. Pull-off testing. Using this test you can estimate the compressive strength of the concrete. Then very frequently used another method is rebound hammer. With this test you can compare the quality of concrete at different zones of a specimen, but results are affected by condition of concrete surface. Another one is resonant frequency testing. It is used to detect voids, delaminations, foreign objects, etc. in the concrete. Then another method is Windsor probe, which you can use to estimate the compressive strength of concrete. Now, non-destructive tests for reinforcing steel. For steel, there are different NDT tests. One is cover meter. It measures cover, size and location of reinforcement steel. Then electrical potential. It indicates the condition of reinforcing steel. Information of rate of corrosion not provided by this method. Then radiography. We observe and measure hidden voids, porosity, etc. But high cost and heavy equipments are required, and there are some health hazard associated with using the radiation. Then residual stress test you can do by hole drill. It measures residual stresses near the surface of material. It is applicable only to easily accessible surfaces. Then what are different materials which are used for treating defects or cracks? Different materials which are used for treating defects and the cracks are: surface treatment of concrete can be done with sodium silicate, boiled linseed oil, bituminous paints. In respect of cracks, butyl, silicone and polysulfide sealants are in common use. Epoxy resin and epoxy monitors are well suited for closing cracks. So in this lecture, we discussed about different type of defects that may come in concrete and reinforcing steel. Then what are the causes of these defects, and also the preventive and remedial measures, that how we can deal with the defects in these two materials. I hope you must have enjoyed this discussion. Next, we will discuss some of the defects in other materials like in plumbing and sanitary fittings, floorings, etc. Thank you.